Beat before they ain't straight black pride brothers and sisters. It's your brother DC Radical 1 with a special radical report. So yesterday, April 22nd, the Supreme Court heard the case of Mahmoud versus Taylor. This is the case from Montgomery County, Maryland, which is the largest school system in Maryland, and it's just north of Washington, D.C. This is the case where the parents were seeking to opt out of the LGBT portion of the curriculum that had been applied by Montgomery County. Now, the parents were seeking to opt out of the teaching of some books that were teaching various parts of transgenderism and other alternative lifestyles that the parents didn't agree with, that they felt violated their religious freedom. Now, in this case, initially the county agreed to these opt-outs and then later reneged, and so that's when legal action began, and the case was heard on the 22nd. And so this is the footage. I did some interviews and some live footage of the event which featured, of course, had rallies from people on both sides, and so we're going to take a look at that now. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, can you introduce yourself, please, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Beza Demena. I'm a public school teacher. I'm also a youth pastor, and I'm Ethiopian. I'm here representing my friends and family from Montgomery County. I don't live in Montgomery County, but I have a lot of friends and family that live in Montgomery County. Yeah.
All right, so we're here at the Supreme Court, and we have two sides here. One side that appears to be willing to impose their beliefs on everyone, and another group who simply want to opt their children out of the teaching of the LGBT agenda. Could you explain to me, one, am I correct in my assessment of the two options? And then two, could you explain to me why you believe in the opt-out?
Yeah, Montgomery County Public Schools, I think in 2022 introduced some children's books that kind of promoted the gay agenda about transgender. They're all children's books from pre-K through 5th grade.
Hold up, let me stop you right there. You said these books are for pre-K to 5th grade.
Yeah.
So we're talking
books.
about from ages approximately 5?
I would say even 3 to 4, because some of them are really. Now, I haven't read through all of the books. I just know that I know their titles, and I know what the summary of the books are. But these are books that were introduced in the name of inclusivity, but introducing little kids to the idea of being transgender, or introducing them to a gay lifestyle. And at that time, when Montgomery County Public Schools instituted that, they gave parents the option to opt out when they're teaching these, when they're referring to these books. They gave them an idea, they gave them the option to opt out. But apparently it was too cumbersome, or they couldn't do that anymore, so they took away that right and said, we're just going to go ahead and teach allow kids to read these books whenever, without giving parents an option to opt out. So from 2023 on, there has been a fight between parents who have said, mostly religious parents from the Islamic faith, Christians, Judaic faith, people who strongly believe that they have the right to parent their children, to be able to say, I know when my child is ready to hear things about sexuality. And so they didn't say ban the books. They didn't say, they don't want to they won't pull their kids out of class. They just wanted to say, when you teach these particular books, give me an option as a parent to opt my kid out of that 1 class period or 2 class period that you're going to be teaching those books. That's pretty much it. So, the one side is, hey, don't give them the opt-out. I think most people think that this is about banning books. It's not about banning books. It's about giving parents the opportunity to say, hold off. I want to protect my kid,
So, would you say that the narrative coming from the other side is painting the parents to be more extreme than they actually are?
Yeah, even just coming to just support right here, all the signs that I'm seeing is about, you guys are idiots for not, for trying to ban books. And if me trying to parent my children and looking out for their best interests gets me called idiots, which I was called about a half hour ago, then so be it. I'm the one who's accountable to my God to make sure that I take care of my family. I take care of my children. So,
well, I want to thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
We had a conversation before, and you have been very gracious to bless me with this interview, because you seem to be the most popular person here, and you have been a great representative of your cause. And as I have talked to people, it becomes very obvious that the Rainbow Group is very much intent on imposing their agenda, to the point that even them coming over to the other side and invading the spaces of the people there, and as you said, insulting people for no reason. But I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. True. And I've seen this behavior before. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for what you're doing within your community in promoting family. This is an attack against families, and what you're doing within your community in promoting family values, of protecting the family unit, and not redefining it.
Right.
That's something that I think I will still talk about that till I'm old and gray. I don't think it will ever get out of style. So I appreciate you doing what you're doing for the community too.
Oh, I thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Not just here, but in our public school system. We're here today to stand against that. We're here to say that we are parents of MCPS children. We are dedicated to this cause, and we will not stop, and we will prevail today. We will prevail. That being said, this all started with a very simple process. Montgomery County, at the beginning of the school year in 2022, had an opt-out policy. That opt-out policy was sent home to my wife and I, and it was about these books, the LGBTQ books. And we read through the books, some of the books that they were presenting. Carroll County had a similar program. Carroll County had a program where they were speaking about Bill and Ed were married, and then they went to Sweden, and the discussion is about Sweden. Montgomery County books were love stories. These were stories about love, where the prince and the knight slayed a dragon, and then it talks about their relationship. So fundamentally, our issue has been that we disagreed with MCPS on where inclusion stopped and indoctrination started. That's what we have, and they talk about inclusivity, the big word, and even recently I was at a recent board meeting in Montgomery County where they're talking about inclusivity. The only people that are leaving out of this inclusion is the faith communities like us. So we deserve to have the same inclusion in the process and in the discord and in the narrative at MCPS. So the question is, did we need to be here today? Did we need to be here today? No, we didn't need to be here today. Realistically, the reality is that we could have resolved this by doing what? By doing what is reasonable, I submit to you. And what is reasonable is to listen to the parents and to come up with an accommodation that works for both MCPS and us. But they wanted to force this curriculum down our throat. Are we gonna let them do that?
No.
Are we gonna let them do that?
No.
We're not gonna let them do that because we have skin in this game. We have real skin in this game. These are our children. These are our religious principles. And these are our religious beliefs. And maybe the court in Greenbelt didn't agree with our position. And maybe the circuit court did not agree with our position. But I submit to you that today we will prevail in the highest court of the land. We're going to have the attorneys come down shortly. I want to thank all of the people who have set this up and all the tireless work. I want to thank Beckett Law for standing with the parents. The reality of this is it was dark for us. It was dark. It's been almost 2 years, and we have loss after loss, and people did not fully understand. Okay, excellent. So we have them started coming down.
So you're running a stand.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Baxter, Senior Counsel and Vice President of the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. I'm counsel for the petitioners, around 300 parents in Mahmoud versus Taylor. Super happy today with the way things went in the court. We're optimistic that the court will be sympathetic to our claims. We think the board recognized that the school books at issue here themselves, even without getting into the separate instruction that was required of the teachers, the school books tell students to disrupt their thinking on gender and sexuality, that they should rewrite the norms, that gender doesn't have anything to do with your body, it's just about love, and that students are no better than their teachers and than their parents about how to think about their gender and their sexuality. So this type of instruction, Montgomery County's own principals, its own teachers were very uncomfortable. They wrote a letter to the board saying, we think this is age inappropriate, it shouldn't be in elementary school. You're presenting some things as fact that are not fact. You're shaming children who disagree with you, and you're dismissive of religious beliefs. That was the board's own principles from the very beginning. And so we think the court heard those arguments. They seem sympathetic to the concerns of the parents, and we look forward to the court's ruling by the end of June. We do have with us a couple of clients who will give a statement. We'll first turn the podium over to Melissa Persak, and she'll be followed by Svetlana Roman.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa. I'm a Catholic and the mother of 2 children currently in Montgomery County Public Schools. Both were in elementary school when the board suddenly decided to revoke the opt-out. This forced our diverse religious neighbors, friends, and teachers to join arm in arm together to protest. The Montgomery County School Board has forced my family and many other families into a difficult and unjust situation. By mandating these books, the board has taken away our right to opt our children out of content that directly contradicts our religious beliefs. Instead of respecting our role as parents to guide our children's education, the board is imposing lessons on gender transitions, sexual attraction, and other topics that our own district's principals have said are inappropriate for young children ages 4 to 11. This is not a matter of banning curriculum or stopping others from following their beliefs. It is about protecting our rights as parents to decide what our children learn and when, especially when it comes to sensitive issues like gender, sexuality, and family life. Again, we are talking about children ages 4 to 11. No parent should have to choose between preserving their religious beliefs and sending their children to public school. Today we ask the justices to uphold our freedom to raise our children according to our faith and values, free from government interference. We hope the court will agree that school board officials can never replace parents who know and love their kids best. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Svetlana Roman, and I'm here today as a mother and a Ukrainian Orthodox Christian. Like many parents, my husband and I believe it is our duty to raise our child in a home grounded in faith. But the Montgomery County School Board has made it extremely difficult for us to do so. The board is mandating that elementary school children, including our son, engage with storybooks celebrating pride parades, drag queens, and gender transitions. As Christians, we teach our son that gender is a gift from God and a natural, unchanging part of who we are. We cannot, in good conscience, expose our child to materials that contradict these fundamental beliefs. The school board took away the rights of parents to opt out, the rights that were previously granted on multiple occasions in order to meet the needs of diverse families that live in our school district. This forced us to make a decision to take our son out of the public schools, which has come at a great personal and financial cost. Unfortunately, not every family is able to do the same. So today, we, on behalf of other parents sharing our faith, ask the Supreme Court to stand up for our rights to raise our children in accordance with our faith and protect them from instruction on controversial topics that go against our deeply held religious beliefs. Thank you.
What line of questioning most encouraging today? What did you hear today that encouraged you?
I thought some of the most encouraging questioning was just asking about the content of the books and really pressing opposing counsel on how those books can be appropriate for kids in elementary school. The court also seemed, open to the idea that schools should be treated like every other government entity, and when they impose on parents' religious beliefs, they should have to answer. It doesn't mean that the parents always win, but the schools should have to show that they have a compelling reason that they can't accommodate these students. And when you're accommodating students for all kinds of things every day, and literally 1 in 8 students in Montgomery County has an individualized education program. 15% of the students take English as a second language classes. These students are being opted in and out of mainstream classes all day, so there's no reason they can't allow these opt-outs. Maryland law requires them, if this instruction happens during health class, which it does beginning in pre-K, then the students have the right to opt out, and the board doesn't dispute that. So the courts, emphasizing those kinds of issues we found very encouraging.
Isn't there a concern that this opens Pandora's box?
I mean, we think this is, shows us why the board's position is so weak on the merits, that they're raising these kind of fear-mongering issues. Parents have had the right for decades. The court's Yoder decision was decided in 1972. And so parents have always had the right to ask those kinds of questions, and you don't see it happening. Most of the courts in this country have never even addressed a question like this. And so it's hard to say that just because the court reaffirms the right on facts that are even more egregious than were in Yoder 50 years ago, that they're somehow going to open a door. Our parents are busy. They have jobs. They need to use the public school system, and they just want their children to receive a basic education. And at a time when Montgomery County's test scores are dropping dramatically, they're questioning, why do we have to have this kind of indoctrination that actually invites disputes within the county instead of helping everyone see that we can live side by side. We don't have to resolve all the things we disagree with. We can show respect to one another, and opt-outs are a perfect way to allow that. They support pluralism in our society, and we made clear that we're not challenging all these other things that they've raised to scare the court.
And then on the other side, just as Kavanaugh kind of said, is this really the hill Montgomery County wants to die on? And there did seem to be a sense of, is this all just gone too far? And I'd love one of the parents to address that too. Was there a sense in that courtroom that there was a realization that, what are we really arguing about here when we're talking about kids and schedule?
I mean, this is common sense. It's what the board did from the beginning. It's what it's done for decades. Its own policy before this lawsuit said you could opt out of anything that violated your religious beliefs. case. Lots of school districts go further and say, regardless if it has to do with sexuality in any curriculum, you can opt out if it's just controversial or you deem it harmful. And so I think Justice Kavanaugh is just pointing out, like, schools work with these issues all the time. There's no reason. I mean, Montgomery County is an extreme outlier. It is forcing instruction that no other school in the country enforces on elementary school kids, where almost everybody agrees that that's inappropriate. Kids deserve a time of innocence when they're 3 to, in elementary school, to kind of live their life without having to worry about, am I gay, or am I lesbian, or am I really a boy or really a girl? Those are questions that they will confront at a different time in their life, and it shouldn't be forced on them when they're in elementary school.
Do you believe the school district when it says it's not feasible to provide these opt-outs?
No, I mean, if it wasn't feasible, then they wouldn't have done it for a year. They would have had evidence. They put in no evidence other than to say that it's not feasible. All of that evidence was evidence within their control. They could have put it in. And again, when you have thousands of students being opted in and out of classroom, I mean, our educational system today is really, the schools try really hard to tailor to individual students' needs. There's all kinds of different options for students with different needs, and to say that if your needs are religious, we just can't do that, I think shows the bigotry that's underlying their position. Thank you.
Well, brothers, as you see, there were some strongly held beliefs on both sides, and we can expect a decision in this case. I believe they said either June or July, so we will keep you all up to date about that. But make no mistake, this case is much bigger than Montgomery County, or much bigger than Maryland, or much bigger than any local school system. This is indeed a fight between people who believe in traditional values, people who believe in the major religions, and people who believe in these new alternative lifestyles. This is a cultural battle that will continue in America and indeed throughout the world. So this is just one battle in an ongoing war. So with that, I've been your host, DC Radical 1, and I say Abibi for ODA and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cashapp is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. Abibi for ODA